With all the hype around Unova remakes and then Pokemon doing the complete opposite and giving us Legends ZA, I'm super hyped about that by the way. I really wanted to play through Unova again. After all, it's one of my least played Pokemon games. But I wanted to do a hardcore Nuzlocke, and what better character than N? We'll be using every Pokemon he's ever had to give us a few more encounters, but we're still going to be pretty limited. You'll see why by the end of the video. Standard Nuzlocke rules apply, so with my limited hardcore Nuzlocke experience, can we beat Pokemon Black 2 as N? A humble beginning start, and we meet with our rival, M. Yep, I've called him M. After taking a walk to see Bianca, we can choose our starter, and thanks to the Universal Pokemon Randomizer, we changed Snivy to Zorua, giving us an Emboar to fight. Yeah, not looking forward to that. We nicknamed Zorua Zoom, and if you think of someone who's fast but wears a black costume, you might know the nickname theme I'm going for here. We check our nature and we have a modest nature, which is fantastic for a Zoroark, but early game with pursuit and tackle is really not good. I can see already during our first rival fight, which we barely managed to scrape by, we're doing very little damage, so we need to level up. Bianca's introduction to the Pokemon world paved the way for our first encounter, Purloin, another dark type joining our ranks. Meet Barry. We continue with the intro to the game and we meet up with Alder, the champion, who I know all too well. We then head to Flossery Ranch and we have our second rival battle, but it's pretty easy. Zorua makes quick work of Tepig as it just spams Tail Whip, letting us get off scotch-free. We then got our first encounter with Team Plasma, who lobs frustration at us in frustration, and I forget to check Purloin's nature. It's got a naive nature, so lower special defense and plus speed. Not the worst, not the best. As we're leaving, Alder gives us some berries, which for sure will come in handy for our next fight against our first gym leader, Sharon. The first two trainers didn't give me any issues at all, but let's talk about Sharon. This is his team. It's not too much of a threat, right? But at this stage, with only two Pokemon, one or two workups, and he can just end the run already. So the battle starts off versus Sharon. We lead off with Barry, and he leads with Patrat. It's a fantastic start for Barry, who manages to hit a 5-turn Fury Swipes, bringing Patrat really low, as we take a pretty weak tackle for 10 damage. We then connect our next Fury Swipes to take out his first Pokemon, Patrat, and so far so good. But now's his ace, Lillipup. I decide to Sand Attack to lower his accuracy as he works up, raising his attack stat. We then Growl to reduce his attack as he works up yet again. I repeat the same turn again to try and get him so he can't set up on us, but he is determined, and he actually misses the tackle, which is now the best case scenario. We then hit a pretty weak Fury Swipes for only 3 turns as he works up yet again. I Fury Swipes, but we miss, and Lillipup connects a tackle, taking us to 5 HP, and we heal with our Oranberry. I connect a 2-turn Fury Swipes before Lillipup kills Barry with a tackle. It's down to Zoom now, who hits a pursuit, bringing him really low before we take a tackle, but not well at all. Sharon heals Lillipup with a potion, and we bring him back down with a pursuit. A final pursuit, and we put him on 1 HP as his tackle puts us on 5 HP before our berry heals us. This means we take down Lillipup the next turn. With Sharon beat, we get ourselves a basic badge and the TM for workup, which will come in handy at some point, but at the cost of an already early death. Goodbye Barry, it was fun while it lasted. On our way to the next town, I come across something I thought would end my run, a little Riolu. We only have Zorua now and my inexperience shows as I forgot to heal, so our berry kicked in instantly. Luckily he just spammed Endure, and after a return we managed to take him out. I've got to start paying way more attention. We can now get another encounter in Pidove. Now a Pidove on its own isn't much help, but I'm allowing myself to evolve Pokemon this run if they manage to survive. We nickname him Arrow, and he's got a bold nature, which is pretty bad to be honest, but at least he can learn work up I guess. We arrive at Verbank City, and we're soon ready to face our next gym leader. But first we need to head to the Verbank complex. Here we can get another encounter, that being a Growlithe as I'm using all of N's Pokemon. He also had an Arcanine on his weather team, so this is pretty good for us. This Growlithe has Intimidate, meaning it'll be fantastic for the team, plus it's going to be great for the next gym. We nickname him Wally, and he's got a gentle nature, so plus special defense minus defense. So far only Zorua has a good nature. We also collect the Silk Scarf, and this boosts normal type moves even more, so return should be dealing solid damage. Our next gym leader is Roxy, and she's a poison type gym leader. Her team could be scary with poison plus Venoshock combo, but we have some Petra Berries to deal with her. Roxanne leads with Coffin, and we lead off with Wally. Wally's fast, and we have Flame Wheel. We hit it for massive damage, and we get the burn fantastic, as Coffin hits a critical hit tackle. That does nothing thanks to the burn reducing his attack. Coffin takes chip damage before a final Flame Wheel brings him to the red, as Wally dodges a Smog, and Coffin then falls to burn damage. Now he's Erase Whirlipede. It Venoshocks, which does good damage, but not as much as if we were poisoned, as we hit a massive flame wheel, burning Whirlipede. Again, great RNG. Poison point activates, but thanks to our Pesha Berry, we remove that instantly. After burn damage, Whirlipede is low, so Roxy super potions, Wally shows why he's supposed to be on the team, and critical hits Whirlipede to defeat Roxy and give us our second gym badge, the Toxic badge. Now, onto my favourite part of these games. I'm just kidding, I really don't like Pokestar Studios. Sorry if you do, but I don't want to be a movie star. We basically have to watch a movie and participate in one. We're practically held hostage and we can't leave until we do. When we're finally free after doing this, we can leave this traumatic experience behind us and keep moving on with the story. Before we set sail and continue our journey, we have another encounter with Team Plasma. Me, Em, and Roxy quickly dispatch them as they're pretty weak grunts at this point in the game, but we get tasked with chasing them down back to Route 20. After defeating a final grunt, we can finally set sail to Castella City, and I'm sure you all remember the first time you sailed and saw the giant city. We're immediately hit with the music, and what a time. Your first gift as you set foot in the city is a bite too. How generous, so now we can move about faster. Before leaving here though, there's an item I want to grab, and that's a charcoal boosting fire type moves. Then we meet Iris, whose first instinct is to slowly lure us to the sewers. I mean, this doesn't seem normal, but alright. In the sewers, we find a twisted spoon, which may be useful later on, as it boosts psychic type moves, and we come across Team Plasma, but our battle's super easy. Em's now got a Pig Knight, who's an absolute monster, and just practically one-hits anything with Flame Charge. I'm worried about when we next have to battle him. We meet the next gym leader, and now we can challenge him, but first we get another encounter in Relic Passage. Well, there's 3 possible options, but the first we encounter is a Woobat. We nickname her Iris, and she's got a modest nature, which is actually great. While leveling up here too, Arrow evolves into Tranquil, giving us a stronger Pokemon and a great option for our next gym leader. So our next gym leader is Burr. Did I say that wrong? Probably. While I'm making my way through the cocoons, this is his team. Honestly, our team looks like it should demolish him. Dwebble may be an issue, but I just think we have the raw power to beat him. Burr leads off with Swadloon, and I lead off with a not fully HP Wally. Again, will I ever learn? It being naturally slow and bug and grass type, a Fire Fang just immediately takes him down. Then is Dwebble. Our Fire Fang does close to half as he sets up a Rock Polish, boosting his speed drastically. He then outspeeds us and hits a smackdown, bringing Wally low, but we survive it and roll higher on our next Fire Fang, taking him down. This just leaves his ace, Leavanny, left. There is no way I'm risking Wally here when we have a safe switch into Arrow, who eats a Razor Leaf like a champ. We then take a cut thanks to our bold nature, tank it quite nicely, and deliver an air cutter to bring him to a sliver as he heals with his berry. He then delivers another weak cut before a final air cutter from Arrow takes down Leavanny, beating our third gym leader and getting us the inset badge. Continue on our journey onto Route 4 is where we meet Colrus for the first time. He disperses a roadblock of Crustle and then we battle him, but it's a pretty easy battle for Wally as he just Fire Fangs both of his steel types for an easy victory. A new route means a new encounter and once again a possibility of 3. Who will we get? And we get ourselves a Sandile, which is the one I didn't want as we can guarantee it in Relic Castle, but it'll come in handy anyways, considering who our next gym leader is. We catch him and he's got a serious nature, so that's a neutral nature. He's got Intimidate, which gives us double Intimidate, which is fantastic for runs like these. On Route 4 we can get a Mystic Water, a Wide Lens, and the TM for Dig, giving us good ground type move. In the Desert Resort we can get yet another counter and more possibilities. I really wanted a Sigilyph, but we'll see. And it's a Darumaka. This gives us a powerful fire type later on if he survives, with the ability Hustle and a neutral nature again, but he's got a fantastic attack stat. We also grab the TM for Rock Tomb here and we can find hidden away a Firestone, and that means one thing. Yep, we can evolve Wally into a very powerful Arcanine at an early level too, fantastic. We arrive at Nimbasa City and we have a double battle against a Subway duo, and honestly I realised I'm still a bit underleveled here. We can have some evolutions before the next gym too, so I get to work right away to level the team up. Savitar evolves into Krokorok at level 29 and Zoom evolves into Zoroark at level 30. I take a ride on the Ferris wheel. While not mandatory, I do this every time I've played, and this girl we ride with is saying she's drenched in sweat. Moving on. We make our way to the end of the amusements just to be told we've missed the gym leader, and for all that trouble we get a little paralyzed heal. Amazing. But now we can challenge the Nimbasa City gym leader Elsa. She's an electric type gym leader with her team being pretty scary, but I think we can cope with our Savitar. Elisa leads off with Emolga and we lead with Savitar. We get off the Intimidate straight away as Emolga then goes for a quick attack, not dealing much damage at all. We then reply with a super effective Rock Tomb, lowering his speed too. Emolga the next turn quick attacks again, chipping away at us, but a final Rock Tomb takes takes him out. Elisa's second Pokemon is a Flaffy. We go for a dig and we avoid the takedown. We then take down Flaffy in one move, but we get staticked, so now we're paralyzed. Then she sends out her ace Zebstrika, who hits a pretty hard flame charge and raises his speed as we get paralyzed. It looks as if we can tank one more hit and Zebstrika is faster, so we can afford to try and see if dig does a lot. Zebstrika goes for a pursuit which deals nothing as we dig underground. He misses his flame charge and Saboteur shows his pure power by taking down Zebstrika in a quick and easy gym battle. This gives us our 4th gym badge already, the Bolt badge. But there's no time to rest. We get into battles with Team Plasma straight after where I nearly lost Wally, thanks to some unlucky Confuse Ray luck. Pretty close, but Zoom finally got some more spotlight and took down the Watchog. M tells us he hates Team Plasma because they stole his little sister's Purloin. I know the feeling of losing a Purloin so early on, trust me. On Route 5, there's nothing for us to catch, but we do have a rotation battle with Charles. Now, a rotation battle is basically a 3-on-3, but you can use moves and swap around each turn. We did get close to losing Iris and Arrow on this fight, thanks to him having an Archon and a Tortuga, which we need in the future, but we persevered through and we head over the bridge into the absolute treat of a town drift fail. And doesn't the music just hit you? We encounter Team Plasma again and they're talking about the traitor N. We'll just keep moving, no need to involve ourselves. We can pick up an air balloon and an expert belt before facing our next gym leader. We have a quick battle with ex-Team Plasma Rude, but our Zoom makes super short work of him. We're then offered N Zoroark, which we can't take because we have Zoroark and we are N, so we're just going to ignore his offer and carry on. With the level cap now being 33, we get 2 new evolutions also. Thanks to high friendship, Iris evolves into a Swoobat, and at level 32, Tranquil evolves into his final form, Unpheasant. The team's starting to shape up great for now, until we can start to catch more of N's Pokemon. So the gym leader for Driftvale City is Clay, and his Excadrill is looking tough, but I think we can deal with him thanks to double Intimidate. But we have 2 fire types and 2 flying types, not a great matchup. Clay leads with Krokorok, and we lead off with Saboteur. We intimidate him, and he intimidates us. Turn 1 I dig underground as he misses a Bulldoze. We then connect our dig for great damage before we get hit by a Torment, so we can't use the same move twice. We Sand Tomb for a small amount of damage and chip damage as a Bulldoze hurts us and lowers our speed. Krokorok then Sand Tombs us as we dig underground and we both take chip damage as we dodge a crunch and take him out of a dig. Clay's second Pokemon is Sandslash. I swap immediately to Arrow and we're immune to the Bulldoze. We then hit an Air Slash for great damage and we get hit by a Crush Claw, barely taking any thanks to our bold nature. We Air Slash again and we flinch him in the red. We know Clay's going to heal here, so we just keep Air Slashing. We take a final Crush Claw from Sandslash to put us at round half before taking down Sandslash with Arrow. This leaves his final Pokemon and usually the scariest, Excadrill. But I have a plan. I swap to Saboteur on the Rock Slide, which we resist, and we get off the Intimidate lure and is attacked by 1 stage. We then swap to Wally on the Metal Claw, intimidating him again, putting him at a -2 attack. I stay in and go for a dig as Excadrill misses his Bulldoze before Wally connects a critical hit dig for a 1-shot and showing his power again. With that, we claim the Clay badge, putting us at 5 badges. Before we can leave Driftvale, we have to participate in the Driftvale tournament, which is a gauntlet of bosses really. This time we face M, Sharon, and then Chorus at the end. M and Sharon were very easy wins due to us being a high level, and they can't really hurt us. Chorus, having mainly steel types, was also a pretty easy win due to Wally being able to wall them, although we did get paralyzed a lot and go low on HP. Eventually, we win, and what do we get for winning this prestigious tournament? A trophy? A Pokemon? No, 1 BP. Yep, 1 BP that we buy 1 Protein with. Great. After defeating the tournament, we have yet another run-in with Team Plasma. A lot of trainers and double battles, but we are a bit of a higher level, and honestly, they weren't much of an issue for our team. Well, by that, I mean, I mainly just used Dig as Stoutland and Pignite just finished off their Pokemon. While leveling up on the next route, Jay finally evolves into Darmanitan, giving us a second extremely powerful fire type. But at that moment, our ground and rock weakness is glaring. We need some new Pokemon to try and get this team looking a bit more balanced. We meet up with Sharon and get the HM for Surf, which could help us get a water type encounter a bit later on. We arrive at Chargestone Cavern, and here there is 3 Pokemon I want, but we can only catch 1, so let's see who we get. And it's a Ferroseed. This is perfect. I did want a Clink, but this will do just nicely too. We catch it and nickname it Godspeed, a fitting name for such a fast Pokemon. It's also got a brave nature, so that's minus speed plus attack, making it even slower. We add it to the team and we box Arrow for a while we make our way through the cavern. Pretty easily too. However, we did nearly lose Zoom to a random Magmar thanks to a confusion hit, but Savitar took care of that after. Then we arrive at Mistralton City. I probably said that wrong. Professor Juniper just comes right up to us and gives us a Master Ball. I mean, I'll take it. Now we can take on Skylar. She's a flying type gym leader, and I honestly think Jay can put in some serious work here. Swanna could be an issue, however. So the battle starts off with Skylar leading with Sweebat, and we lead off with Jay. It's an awful start for us as Sweebat hits in a track, and we fall in love getting immobilized. He heart stamps us, and we get immobilized again. He then heart stamps us, and we still haven't attacked. We then get hit for a critical hit heart stamp before we finally hit a rock tomb to bring him to his sliver. I stay in as Skylar obviously goes for a hyper potion, and we break through again to connect another rock tomb. We have to swap now though, so I go into Iris, our own Swoobat, as he just hits a resisted heart stamp. The next turn I set up a Calm Mind to raise our special attack and defense as Swoobat hits a super effective assurance, really hurting us. Then we can proceed to take him down with an air slash. Skylar sends out her ace Swanna next. I believe we can live one attack thanks to the raise, but our air slash brings Swanna low and activates her berry, healing her. But we get a flinch, returning the hacks, so Iris takes down Swanna with no issues whatsoever. Lastly is Skarmory. This thing is more physical orientated, so I play it safe and swap to Wally to get off the Intimidate as he agilities, raising his speed. Skarmory is now faster than us and hits an air cutter for little damage as our Flame Wheel deals massive damage in return. Wally dodges the last air cutter to finish off Skarmory, beating Skylar in what started off scary but turned in our favour. With her beat, we obtain the Jet Badge and we're making great progress. The level cap is now 48 and we've got some more story stuff to do. First, we need to take a plane with Professor Jupiter and Skylar to arrive at Len Midas Town. I probably said that wrong. Here we can go to the Move Tutor and teach our Pokemon some better moves like Dark Pulse to Zoom and Wally Dragon Pulse. On Reversal Mountain, our Savitar evolves into Crocodile, giving us a great Pokemon, and Godspeed evolves to Ferrothorn, giving us a tank. We make our way through the cavern with Bianca, and the trainers are not much of a threat here. I decide to leave Bianca, and we arrive at Undella Town. Here we can catch a fantastic Pokemon. By using our HM Pokemon to surf, we can encounter a Staryu, giving us a very diverse Pokemon. And if we fly all the way back to the start of the game and surf, we can get ourselves a Water Stone to immediately give us a Starmie. He's nicknamed Cisco, and this will be a fantastic Pokemon going forward, and our team is looking better and better. Back at Undella Town, we have a showdown with our rival again. I'm pretty worried about his ace, a level 41 Emboar. We lead off with Iris, and M leads with Unpheasant. We are faster turn 1 and Air Slash for fantastic damage, as Unpheasant sets up a Razor Wind, but that just seals his own fate as we take him out the next turn with a Psychic. Then the monster, a level 41 Emboar. I decide to stay in an Air Slash as we do massive damage thanks to his fighting type, and we get a flinch again. RNG's been kind to us this run. With a final Air Slash, we take down Emboar, and his last Pokemon is a Simipour. Our Psychic brings him to the red as his Scald really hurts us and burns us, not great. M goes for a Hyper Potion on Simipour, and we bring him back to the red and put ourselves in the red thanks to burn damage. But a last Psychic, and we win our rival fight quite easily again. On Route 13, we finally encounter a legendary Pokemon, Cobalion, but we're just going to ignore it because N didn't have a Cobalion unfortunately. We arrive at Lacunosa Town, and I probably said that wrong, and we meet up with Bianca and Jupiter, and an old woman tells us about a Pokemon that came from space and ate people. Nice. Then we have another double battle versus Team Plasma, but between Wally and M's Emboar, the fight is just very easy. We beat down an old man who's nearly on a 1000 battle win streak. I'm so sorry about that. We continue heading west. We then encounter Virizion, and being the good trainer that we are, we ignore this legendary Pokemon too. Onwards to the next gym. We arrive at Opalude City, probably said that one wrong, and here we take on our 7th gym, the Dragon type gym leader, Drayton. Now thanks to spending my life savings earlier, we give Cisco a 70% accuracy Ice Move in Blizzard, which could be super helpful versus his team, but all of his Pokemon have good coverage for Cisco too. Our best lead is Wally into his lead of Druddigon. The fight starts off fantastic as we intimidate Druddigon and hit a Dragon Pulse for massive damage as he retaliates with a weak Crunch. Drayden burns a Hyper Potion, but we bring him back down with another attack. A final Dragon Pulse and his first Pokemon is down. Second he sends out Flygon, and I'm not playing around the critical hit. I've got to swap into Godspeed, who gets hit by an Earth Power that critical hits, crippling him instantly. What did I just say about playing around the critical hit? I then swap to Iris to dodge the Earth Power, and we hit a Psychic for fantastic damage before a Crunch brings us to the red. A final Psychic and we take down Flygon, leaving only a Haxorus left that can set up. I swap immediately back to Wally to intimidate Haxorus and put him at a negative attack stat as he hits a weak assurance. We then Dragon Pulse for massive damage as he holds on and heals with his berry and proceeds to set up a Dragon Dance. He for some reason got way too cocky and Dragon Dances again, giving us a kill over Haxorus and beating our 7th gym leader. With that, we get the Legend Badge. We now have some story stuff to continue with. As Drayden is explaining about Kyrem, let me just double check this.
Qrem?
Qrem's Qrem.
Qrem? Qrem. Qrem.
Qrem.
Qrem? Qrem. Qrem.
Qrem.
Okay, Qrem. Team Plasma shows up on a floating spaceship and begin to fire off what seems to be ice bombs all over the town. Marvellous. They're after the DNA splicers, so we beat down on all the grunts and we have a fight with Zinzolin, who uses ice types. So Wally is just a pure counter to his team. We dispatch of him very quickly and Drayton gives us the splicers, but ninjas steal them. We beat down on them and we have to give chase. We make our way through the marine tunnel and I loved seeing this for the first time. It truly blew my mind. So even though we've had to give way to ninjas and Team Plasma are like blowing up the world, it doesn't matter because we're going to take on another gym leader. This is the last gym leader of the game and it's a water type leader, Marlin. His team packs a punch with a Wailord and we don't really have good answers. It's time to call up Godspeed and Cisco. As we're clearing the gym, I just for the first time realised that Alamalola fins are like hands and it shocked me. I always thought it was just like a love fish. Moving on, it's time for the gym leader and the craziest battle I've had so far. Marlin leads off with a Caracosta and we lead Godspeed, a really good answer to him. While he's faster and goes for Scald, so our high defense doesn't help us here, we take it pretty decently and don't get burned, as we hit a power whip to bring him to his sturdy. Marlin then hyper potions him back to full HP as we miss our power whip. Caracosta then shell smashes, lowering his defenses but raising all of his offenses, that ain't good, and we miss a power whip again. A Scald now really hurts us as we finally connect a power whip to bring him back to sturdy. He Scalds again to put us at 46 HP and I go for an Ingrain thinking it'll just be passive HP recovery, as a Scald brings us to 20 HP and we take down Caracosta with a Gyro Ball. This is where I realise I've messed up. Ingrain heals us for about 10 damage and out comes Wailord. I go to swap and realise Ingrain traps you in because you're literally ingrained into the earth. Perfect. I have no choice but to attack Wailord. Wailord bounces in the air, giving us more HP back to 38 as he connects a bounce the next turn, putting us on 13 HP as we connect a power whip to critical hit and take down Wailord in one attack. Ingrain then puts us on 21 HP and this is over for Godspeed. Jellicent comes out, hits a Scald, but we survive it on 1 HP and we connect a power whip to destroy Jellicent thanks to our high attack stat and our brave nature, meaning Godspeed sweeps our last gym leader and survives it on 1 HP. That fight was nuts. We get our last badge, the Wave Badge, and now we're into the end game. While the level cap is now 58 technically, I don't want to be too over leveled as we have a boss battle coming up. On Route 22 we meet another legendary, Terrakion, and as you can guess, we completely ignore this one too. After continuing south, we go down to Team Plasma's base, and this takes me a long time to figure out, but eventually I deactivate all the switches. We then see they have imprisoned Qrem, and we have a double battle with M, but our team is just way too powerful, and with an Embor as our partner, we make very short work of all of his dark and ice types. We then get another cutscene as they're flying the ship, but they drop us off at the beach. How kind of them. We head back to the chasm and the ship, and after spending a while figuring out the passwords, we battle Zinzolin again. And even though he critical hit a few of my Pokemon with Weavile, giving me a scare, we came out on top. Next is Colress. With a steel emphasis still, he shouldn't be too much of an issue, as Wally does some good things again, and I'll tell you why. He leads off with a Magneton who does paralyze Wally as we did a bit of damage before he Volt switches into a Magnezone, who we do massive damage to with a Fire Fang. Colress heals him up, but we keep connecting our moves. Then an explosion comes into play, nearly taking out Wally, but he survives through sheer determination as always. We now have to swap, so I go into Zoom on Metang, and we take it out with a couple of Dark Pulses with no issues whatsoever. Kling Clang takes a while to take out because it resists Zoom's moves and it goes for a lot of shift gears, so I swap to Godspeed to be safe as it keeps setting up. This isn't that great. He then hits a Giga Impact for huge damage, but thanks to him having to recharge, Godspeed takes him out. Out comes Behem. It's an easy swap for us back to Zoom, who resists his moves and one hit knocks him out of a Dark Pulse. Then is his last Pokemon. It's a weakened Magneton from earlier, who we quickly take out for a deathless Colress. We then make our way to the depths of the giant chasm and come across Getsis and Qrem. And I mean, the imposter flies in on his Zekrom, and because of this, Kyurem fuses with Zekrom, and we've got to take it down. I was pretty worried about this, but honestly, Godspeed just walls it. It only takes him 2 Gyro Balls to swiftly deal with a legendary, and I was not prepared to fight Getsis straight after. But here it is. We've got no choice. We've got to go straight into it. We lead off with Godspeed, and he leads with Kofragigas. We instantly swap into Zoom, who gets hit by a Shadow Ball, doing not much to us. Then we can deal a Dark Pulse for a 1-hit knockout on the Coffin. Second is Drapion. I swap into Wally and get off the Intimidate on a weak X-Scissor. We then need to double on the Earthquake into Iris. We then Air Slash for close to half, and we get a flinch. We Air Slash again, and he lives and hits a Night Slash, putting Iris on 3 HP. That was close. Getsis will go for the obvious heal now, so I stay in an Air Slash once more for nearly close to half, but we now have to switch. There is no choice. I go back into Godspeed on a Poison Fang that we are immune from. We then eat up an Earthquake and take down Drapion with a Gyro Ball. Next is Electros. I swap into Saboteur on a Flamethrower that does a decent amount to us. We then crunch and take another Flamethrower, putting us below half before we take down Electros. On Seismitoad, I swap straight into Godspeed on a Muddy Water. We then take a super effective Drain Punch, putting us low before we connect a 4-time super effective Power Whip for a 1-shot. Getsis sends out Toxicroak next, and we swap into Wally for the Intimidate and take the Brick Break. We then get hit by a Sucker Punch as we dig underground. Our dig brings him to under half, and a final dig attack then takes out Toxicroak. This leaves his ace Hydreigon, and I make a silly mistake. I look at my team, I decide for some reason to stay in and Dragon Pulse, doing over half, but he has Rock Slide, and that takes Wally out, putting us at 2 deaths and losing a valuable doggo friend who will be deeply missed. This allows us to go into Cisco and finish off Getsis with an Ice Beam. That really sucks we lost Wally. Double Intimidate is fantastic, and we're closing in on the end. I also came to the realization I've not been letting myself get as many encounters as I should. I was kinda happy with how my team's been performing. My experience in Hardcore Nuzlocke really does show here. I need to go and get a few more encounters to beef out the team and give us the best shot of beating the Elite Four and the Champion who are up next. I catch a Piloswine, which we nickname Killer Frost, and teach it Ancient Power to evolve it into a Mamoswine, giving us a great Ice and Ground type, and we've added Darmanitan, aka Jay, back to the team now. This is it, the epilogue of the game, the final battles deciding whether we can beat this challenge or not. First up is our final rival fight with M. He's only got 4 Pokemon and we have fantastic coverage. Let's destroy him. As we make our way out of Victory Road, we're stopped one final time by M. M's lead is Unpheasant and we lead off with Killer Frost. We are faster thanks to me doing some solid EV training before this fight, and we throw rocks at the bird to deal a small amount of damage as Unpheasant swaggers. This is a double-edged sword as our attack is now massively raised, but we're confused. The next turn this is shown as we hit ourselves for massive damage as Unpheasant U-turns to bring Killer Frost to below half as he goes into Simipour. I now make an extremely ballsy play, staying in, and we break through the confusion to 1-hit knock out the Water Monkey with Earthquake. Then is a massive threat Emboar. Knowing it's slow, I risk it all for Killer Frost as once more we break through and deal a super effective Earthquake on Emboar to take it down. Then is the Buffalo with an Afro Bufalon. Not dancing with death anymore, I swap into Godspeed to absorb the incoming head charge. Then he takes Iron Barbs and recoil damage as well. Godspeed gets hit by a Mega Horn which does quite high damage, and we're chipping away with Gyro Balls and Iron Barbs. The Afro Buffalo misses his attack, so his Godspeed picks up the KO, leaving only an Unpheasant left. We tank an Aerial Ace and then we finish the fight with a Gyro Ball for a last victory over our rival M. With M beat, we arrive at the Pokemon League with our dream of becoming a champion only a few battles away. The good thing is, with our super strong Dark types, the first couple of Elite Four members should be pretty easy. Let's start off with Chantel, who's a Ghost type specialist. A solid bunch of Pokemon on our team, but I don't think she'll deal with our starter Zoom well at all. Chantel leads off with Kofragigas and we lead with Zoom disguised as Godspeed. A super effective Stab Dark Pulse takes down the Coffin Pokemon in one move, and Chantel sends out Golett next. But it's the same scenario, Zoom is just way too powerful and Golett falls too. Third is Chandelure, and you guessed it, a Dark Pulse and the Fire Pokemon's Flames burn out, leaving just a Drifblim left, but Zoom shows why we chose him as a starter and we defeat our first Elite Four member. Second, I choose to go for Caitlyn, a Psychic type Elite Four specialist, and you can see again how Zoom is going to put in some work, or so I thought. Mushiana is Caitlyn's lead, and I decided it's a good Pokemon to set up a nasty plot on, raising our special attack by 2 stages, but we get yawned, meaning we will fall asleep the next turn. We take down Mushiana with ease, but then Zoom nods off to sleep. I stay on Reuniclus and burn a turn asleep, but he then reveals a Focus Blast, which luckily he missed. I can't risk this, so I swap into Cisco Cisco, who tanks a Focus Blast a lot better thanks to his Psychic typing. I opt to go for a Surf to deal great damage, and thanks to a critical hit, we just take it down. Third is Gothitelle. We swap straight to our second Dark type Savitar as a Thunderbolt does nothing to us. We then crunch for massive damage, activating her berry as she sets up a Calm Mind. You really underestimate my Pokemon, Caitlin, and we take down Gothitelle the next turn with a Crunch, leaving only a powerful Sigilyph left, but our jaws are way too strong and a Crunch tears apart Caitlin, giving us a second Elite Four victory. Third, I go for Grimsley, the Dark type Elite Four. We don't really have great answers to his team, but Jay should be really valuable in this fight. Grimsley leads off with a Liepard and we lead off with Jay as we have Superpower, a fighting type move, but we get faked out and flinched. We then get attracted, falling in love, and we can't attack the one we love. We eat a Night Slash for big damage, and that's enough to anger Jay and take down Liepard with a Superpower, lowering our defenses too in the process. Then he sends out Crocodile, who lowers our attack, and we've got to switch. I go into Godspeed on the Crunch and we tank it decently and get off chip damage. We then get smashed with an Earthquake for big damage, but our Gyro Ball brings Crocodile low. I predict the obvious heal here and go for a Power Whip, which we connect for a super effective damage, and we take down the Dark Crocodile. Grimsley sends out a Dark and Fighting type next, Scrafty, and we swap straight into Cisco, who eats a Brick Break. I then hit a Surf for massive damage before a Rock Tomb lowers our speed, but we're still a mighty fast Pokemon. We outspeed and finish it off with one more Surf. His final Pokemon is a Bisharp. I can't lose Cisco, so I swap to Killer Frost riskily, as a Night Slash does big damage, but being Steel type, it can't live a stab super effective Earthquake, and Grimsley falls, leaving a last Elite Four member to face. Marshall, the fighting type Elite Four member. We have a Starmie with Psychic and a Twisted Spoon. This could be a sweep as they all have relatively low special defense. Marshall leads off with a throw and we lead Cisco. Our mighty Psychic power shows immediately as we one hit knock out the throw with a Psychic, and Marshall sends out Minshew next. Cisco's Psychic power is way too much and we overpower Minshew and take it down, which brings out Sork. It has Sturdy, so it survives a Psychic attack from us and retaliates with a massive payback for huge damage. Marshall will heal, so we're free to keep on attacking Sork, bringing him back down to his Sturdy. A final Psychic attack, and Cisco has took care of 3 of his Pokemon, leaving only a Conkeldurr left. It's got a lower special defense than Throw, which we one hit knocked out, so a Psychic finishes off Marshall, and the Elite Four has been conquered, leaving the final fight of this challenge. The champion Iris, who's a Dragon type specialist with a few curveballs in Archeops, Lapras, and Aggron, with her Haxorus being a monstrous threat that if it sets up, can end our run. We make our way to the top of the stairs with our journey reaching its end. Can we defeat Iris, become champion, and beat this hardcore Nuzlocke? Iris's lead is Hydreigon, and my best answer to her team in general is Cisco. Although Hydreigon is a Dark type, we are faster and an Ice Beam brings him lower before a Dragon Pulse brings us to half. A final Ice Beam and Cisco defeats her first Pokemon. Second, she brings out Lapras, and I make a quick switch into Godspeed to absorb the incoming Thunderbolt. We then get hit by an Ice Beam and we get frozen. That is not good. We take another Ice Beam before Godspeed eats its berry and falls out to hit a Power Whip in revenge, taking down the transport Pokemon. Third, Iris chooses Druddigon. The fire move is definitely coming, so I decide to swap into our fire type, Jay, to absorb the hit. And here I make a misplay. I stay in an Earthquake, but Druddigon is quite tanky, it survives easily and takes out Jay with just one Rock Slide, putting us at 3 deaths and losing a valuable fire type. I send out Savitar, who is super angry at Jay's death and hits an Earthquake to claim revenge and take down Druddigon. Then is a threat Haxorus, and this is bad. I Earthquake for fantastic damage as he starts Dragon Dancing, not good, but we have a move Dragon Tail. I go for it, but Haxorus is now way too strong and fast and takes down Savitar with a super effective X-Scissor, putting us at 4 deaths, RIP. We send out Killer Frost and Haxorus sets up a second Dragon Dance as we miss a Blizzard. This is awful. Haxorus then hits an Earthquake for massive damage, but Killer Frost hangs on with sheer determination and connects a Blizzard to end her dragon. Iris sends out Aggron, but it's 4 times weak to an Earthquake, and Killer Frost takes him down with just one move, leaving 1 Pokemon left and Archeops. I decide to go into Zoom and finish this challenge with the one who started it as we take a Rock Slide, but awfully. I stay in Dark Pulse hoping to do enough damage for the KO, but we just miss out, and Zoom falls to an Acrobatics, putting us at 5 deaths and an avoidable one. I send out Godspeed, who's been a fantastic Pokemon for us, as Iris full restores a prehistoric bird before a Gyro Ball takes him down, beating Iris and finishing the fight. With that, we become champion with 3 Pokemon surviving on our team. We register our Pokemon in the Hall of Fame, and I've beat my second ever hardcore Nuzlocke as Black 2 as N. Honestly, this run was fun to do, and I'm still very inexperienced, but I'm learning as I go. 5 deaths isn't too bad considering most of them came came at Iris, and we actually had a very limited encounter run. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.